I'll read the name, and then you're going to come up to the white bucket and pick a number. There's a ball with a number on it, and that's what seat you're going to sit at, okay? All right, so then it's completely random, because I don't really know anybody here, which is good. Trina Appleby. So you come up, there's a white bucket there, draw the number, have a seat, and then a young lady from the town will put your nameplate in front of you. And if you're a member of the public, could you please have a seat? The next lucky contestant is Rhonda Manning. And the next person is Sam Goss. Tony Pollard. Craig Scott. Jennifer Whitten. Scott Martin.
Yeah.
Scott Martin is number one. Karen Goss. Paul Tony. Tony. No more. Dalton Tapper. Mary Thorne Goss. Okay, so congratulations on deciding to run for office in the Town of Torbay Municipal Election on Thursday, October 2nd. As you arrived, you should have been met by Tara, who's the Chamber of Commerce volunteer, and given a ticket if you wish to ask, be able to be asked a question later. All right? So the way that'll work is at the break, we will draw a number, and then that number will correspond to the number on the ticket, and you can come up to the microphone and ask a question. So we just did a random draw of names, and then did a random draw of numbers, and they're seated 1 to 13. So it's good to be here in Torbay tonight. We're going to conduct a Meet the Candidates evening. I'm Michael Pretty, a Killick Coast Chamber of Commerce board member, and I live in Portugal Coast, St. Phillips, and will be your moderator for tonight. Housekeeping. Fire escapes are all marked. Out the door, is there one back there? Yep. And washrooms are across the hall. I've already gone into the female washroom once accidentally, and once on purpose. There's snacks and refreshments at the back. There are no like Rogers rules and stuff. If you want a snack or a cookie, if you get up when somebody's talking, just please be respectful and quiet. So this idea for this event comes from a chamber initiative started a few years ago in Portugal Cove, and we've conducted them at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels. And last year we expanded to the Killick Coast Chamber of Commerce, and we offered to do a partnership with all 7 towns. And we've learned something that we were unable to coordinate an ASL interpreter, and that is, there was no excuse, but there's a reason. And that reason is the town didn't know we were going to offer this service until middle of August, and we've been trying to get one since then, and we've been unlucky or unsuccessful. But we'll run it again in the municipal election, and we will know what to do. So, I apologize. Tonight is an opportunity for the candidates to introduce themselves to the community, let them know who you are and why they're running for office, and to let you know their ideas and how they will address the challenges facing your community. We're here to find out what the candidates have to say to the citizens whose vote they hope to get. This is not a debate, but the focus is on hearing from each candidate in a respectful and informative setting, as we ask that all of them and all attendees interact in a respectful and courteous manner. Disrespectful behavior, personal attacks, or attempt to disrupt the proceedings will not be tolerated. This includes inappropriate language, interrupting the candidates, engaging in arguments. Let's work together to keep this evening focused on ideas and solutions. A lot of what they have to say tonight might determine who you vote. And how you vote on October 2nd will determine the next 4 years of your town. My dad always had a saying is that, I'm better when I'm like off key, not reading from the script. My dad always said, you get out of life what you put in it. So hopefully tonight will be as successful as the one that we did in Portugal Cove last night. And Curtis Jennings, who's a member of the chamber from Torbay, was a monitor over there. So the event's being streamed on the town's YouTube channel, and I believe it will be recorded for later so people can watch it again. The building is fully accessible and there's lots of parking. If you need more water during the event, just indicate to Rosie or Malcolm and we'll get a bottle of water if you want There will be breaks, so you can go have a peek. I've already had 3 nervous pieces before I started 2 minutes ago. We're going to have 3 parts this evening, and I'll introduce each part, and then we'll do that. So each candidate will have a minute to introduce themselves and make a statement. Mayoral candidates will be asked to speak first, and then those seeking councillor positions. And we'll do that based on the numerical draw that you had earlier. Okay, so the first mayoral and then we're going to do a Q&A and a break, and then another Q&A, and in there we'll do draws for who could come up to the mic and ask questions. So the first person who has 1 minute, you guys ready? Okay, so there's a couple of cards that I want to explain to you. So at the halfway point, you'll get one of these. Okay, happy face in case you're colorblind, you just need halfway through your time. The second one, you'll get a yellow one, not like soccer or football, which means you have 15 seconds left, and then you'll get a red one with a smiley face, which means you have 5 seconds left. And at the 5-second mark, I will say thank you, and we'll ask the next person. Cool? We're all happy with that? We all understand why we're here and how we're going to run it? Excellent. So, Craig Scott, can you go first, please? And your time will start when you start speaking.
Can everybody turn the phone around?
It's on Lauren.
Okay, hi everybody, and I want to thank the Chamber for doing this. The last time that we had one of these candidate sessions was in 2013 when I ran for council the first time, and I don't think that we've had one since, so thank you for doing that. I'm Craig Scott, I'm the current mayor in the Town of Torbay. I've been on council since 2013, and I think that I have a proven track record. We've made tremendous strides since 2013 when I first got on council. And, you know, I think that we've actually accomplished more than any other council prior to us. And I'm very proud of that. And we had a great team, and I'm looking forward to serving for the next 4 years and keeping the town moving in the right direction. And I want to thank you all for coming here tonight.
And Mary Thorne Goss.
Good evening, everyone. For over 24 years, I have proudly served as your deputy mayor and councillor, working on every committee of council and helping guide important decisions for Torbay on your behalf. I have over 30 years of senior management experience in federal government, working closely with staff, directors, ministers to deliver results. Today, Torbay is at a critical time with major decisions to be made in the next 4 years affecting water, property taxes, infrastructure, and future development. I am committed to be your full-time mayor. I believe in communication, fiscal responsibility, and working together as a team with resident staff and all levels of government. Thank you.
Trina Appleby.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, everybody. I'm Trina Appleby. I'm standing because I can find it hard to see you, so I want to make sure that you can see me. I've got 8 years at the Town of Torbay table. I was first elected here with the top vote and won the deputy mayor's seat the first time I ran. And people told me at the doors in, they want to change. When we had COVID the second time around, there was an election, and I was elected with the confidence that people to serve as councillor. Since I've been here, I'm the only member of council who ran and served as Avalon Director at MNL. I served at the FCM board. I'm the only member of council that I'm aware of who can tell you she's ever met with the Prime Minister of Canada on behalf of our municipality, been invited to do so. I'm also the only member of panel right now that can tell you that I've been at the table when we've had wins at federal tables to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to our municipality. I answer all the calls, I show for the people, I'm known to do that. I will continue to do that for you. Our top priorities, inclusion, making sure we have ASL interpreters, making sure that our water is safe, and making sure that we have fiscal financial budgets. Thank you, Michael.
So I don't like doing this, but, okay, and first. This handsome young man right here.
Tough to follow, 3 mayors. Good evening, I'm Scott Martin. I decided to run for council because Torbay is my passion. I've lived here my whole life. I worked here for 20 years. I built a home here and I raised my kids. And I've been out knocking on doors and I get a lot of the same thing. Scott, on social media, you don't have a platform. Why not? Because it's simple. My platform is your platform. I'm not going to go on and knock on the door and say, hey, I want a second arena, or I want this, or I want that. What's the point? You're not going to vote for me if I want something. I want to do what you want to do. So on October 2nd, I just kindly ask, if you want someone to do what you want to do, vote for Scott. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Whitten.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Whitten. I'm not going to stand because I have come down with a bad hip in the last 2 weeks. So I haven't been out walking door to door because I can't really walk the length of myself. But I'm here for you. I'm here for seniors. That is one of my biggest things. I've lived in Torbay all my life, and you would probably know me from singing in church or around Christmas time. I know it's one special lady at Christmas time. Pretty good friends with her. And then I'm here just for, like Scott said, I don't have anything that I want. I just want to be here for Torbay. And I'm open whenever you need me. So that's about it. Thank you.
Colleen Tapper.
Thank you to the organizers of this event tonight. And it's great to see the candidates. Some I've never met before, so that was really nice. We have 13 people running for council. Thank you to the fabulous turnout of people here tonight who want to hear the candidates and hear the issues and the proposed solutions. This is an excellent indication of the energy we have in our community and desire to make this a fantastic place to live. I'm Colleen Tapper, and I stepped forward for council because I'm worried about our community and the direction it's heading. I feel we're not looking out for our citizens to the best of our ability, and it also seems to me we're being outpaced by the communities around us. We have issues that need to be addressed, and then they need to be thoroughly examined, and then viable long-term solutions found to these issues. I feel until this happens, we cannot move forward in a safe, satisfied, and productive way. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Goss, born and raised in Torbay, on Browns Lane, just up the road there. I'm running for council because we talked about it for about 10 years now, and I think I got a skill set that can help the town out here. We got a lot of projects going to be coming down the pipe here the next few years, and I have a project management background, and I think I can certainly help out in that area, especially with water. I've run some aquifer work in the past in Alberta, so I think that's a good place for me to start on that committee if I do get elected. I'm also available for any talks, any consultations anybody would like to have, or shoot me an email or something like that. We can talk about it, or we can meet in person. Any issues you guys have, I'm walking around and there's lots of issues out there, so I sure like to work in collaboration on those with the rest of the councillors and the mayor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Goss. I'm not originally from Torbay, but I've lived here for 25 years. And I've raised my children here, and I want to continue to raise my children here because I think this town is amazing. This year is a pivotal year, I think, for our municipality, not just ours, but quite a few across the province. There's a lot of things we're facing, and we need people who can step forward and make some tough decisions, but not on our own. I'm not not here to make decisions that I want to make. I'm here to listen. I'm here to step forward with what the residents of this town want. And the only thing stronger than my work ethic is my tenacity. I will find solutions and put them into action for the things that we need to see change in this town. Thank you for coming out today.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rhonda Manning, for those who don't know me. Born and raised here. And my family history is associated with the town council in the sense of dad, and I have a brother who's well involved in it and just recently retiring from power. I have been 3 terms, prior 3 terms, thinking I should run. Finally did it the last turn around, and it has been, without a doubt, a learning experience. To be able to come into an environment like this with an open mind, the necessity to listen to those around the table, the ability to be able to argue every now and again and walk away with a consensus of a plan going forward. There's so much here that needs to be. Thank you.
So the red card means you have 5 more seconds.
I'll give it up.
That's okay. You guys are making my job look really easy.
Good evening. My name is Paul Toomey. I've been a 44-year resident of Torbay, not quite as long as my wife, who's been a lifelong resident. I thought about running for council before, but it's only in the last few years that I've had the opportunity to really seriously think about it and have the time. I believe I have the experience from my business life and from the volunteer sector that I'm involved in, and my current role as Executive Director at the Eating Disorder Foundation. I, like most people here, want to listen to what's happening in this city, that'd be nice, in this town, and the things that we need to do. We know that water is one of the critical issues, and getting there is going to be a critical component of what the council that's coming in has to do. I look forward to working with people around the council table and the citizens of Torbay to make us a better place. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. Thank you for Killick Coast Chamber for hosting this event. I'm Lori Furlong. I came to Torbay in 2018 with my family. We're raising our 2 beautiful children here. And like many people in this room, we see many things around here that we love and many things around here that we'd like to change. And the current council has made great strides. I'd like to be a part of the new council going forward and take a little bit of a different vision and bring some things forward that, you know, we've got a serious water issue here. And I don't think anybody can dispute that here. I think we need to put all hands in and really come together for the community. At the end of the day, I'm here to listen. I've served on a few committees and a few boards, and that is probably my stride, is to listen to what people are saying, what people need, what we all need around us, and I'd love to be able to bring that to the community and listen to you. Always here to chat, and I always will be.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dalton Tapper. Thank you very much to the Killick Coast Chamber of Commerce for having us here this evening. I'm running to be your councillor this year. This is my first year. I'm one of the rookie candidates this year, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring a new energy to the council. I know that past councils have made a lot of great accomplishments. I thought I would be pretty nervous actually when I first got in and knocking on doors. But I found myself to be very comfortable speaking with the residents. They've been very welcoming to me, so I'd like to thank you all for that. Some of the people that I've spoken to at the doors are here, so thank you very much for coming. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm ready to get to work, and I hope everybody agrees with some of the things that I've been posting. If you need to, you can look me up on Facebook and send me a message or email me or call me anytime. Thanks.
Lucky number 13.
Last but not least, thanks very much, everybody. Great job for everybody who worked before me. I refer everybody to my brochure on your desk, to your seat there, so that you get more information on me. I am a chartered professional accountant. I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree, and I also have a professional certificate in asset management. My work experience has taken me through nonprofits, private enterprise, corporate services, Newfoundland Liquor Corporation, and my most recent stint was with Portsmouth Coast St. Phil's, where I spent 12 years as Director of Financial Operations and finishing off as the Chief Administrative Officer. So I know lots about municipalities, and I certainly bring that work to the town, and I think that everyone knows my work ethic. I show up to meetings, I'm always prepared. I always listen to residents, I always take what they have in mind and try to incorporate whatever we do on a daily basis into our decision-making process. So you can always rely on me, and I certainly hope that you will consider me when you go to vote. Thanks very much.
That was pretty smooth. So, for the past few weeks, residents of the town have sent me questions, and they've sent them to Kim, and Kim sent them all to me. There were some 55 different questions. A lot of them concerned the similar topics. So we took the questions and we kind of combined them into like-minded questions, and we came up with 32. We're going to answer 13 first, and then we'll have a chat to see if you want to try to answer 13 more. And what's really interesting about how we designed this is they're all on exactly the same size as pieces of paper. Some of them are harder than others, but guess who gets to choose the question? They do. So reach in, draw your questions, or you will draw the first one, and then you will answer it, and then you will have a chance to also answer the same question, and we'll just go all the way down the table of that. So each question will be answered by 2 different counselors at a random draw, and when it's over, we'll also post all the other questions on your town site, and then if you want to have a go at them on social media or answer them questions, you can as well. But I think if we stick to the timings, we'll do okay, and we might get through 26 as opposed to 13 questions, but we'll chat about that. Scott, you're up first. Yeah. So you sort of draw the question and read it, and for 1 minute, and then you get a chance to answer it for 1 minute. Remember, your time starts when you start to speak, and after the red card, you have 5 more seconds. Oh, I can read it. Okay.
Do you support getting a seniors home in the community? And what do you plan to do to action it if you are elected? Great question. Seniors home, we have a large one in North Pond. I know it's full right now, and we have the Manor on Browns Lane. I feel another seniors home would definitely be used. The only issue, of course, is water and location. Where are we going to put it, and how are we going to get the water? As you can see by social media, we're close to being in a state of emergency with the town water, and we're not going to have it out towards Pine Ridge with the PFAS system. So location for a seniors home is ideal, something we'd have to work on with all the council and the mayor and staff and the residents. So I'm all for a new seniors home. I know the population is getting older, Joe, and it's definitely needed, so I'm all for it.
Yes, I certainly support another seniors home in our area, and I'm an advocate also for more senior housing. As Scott mentioned, that has got to be a little lower on our ladder because of the water issue. But in terms of it being something that we really have to look at, for sure. I think we have 35 or 37% of our population fitting into the senior category. So that certainly has to be something that we have to look at, and we have to move forward in a very strategic and planned approach for that. Thank you.
How would you ensure transparency and accountability in council decisions? Thank you for making these words bold, because I don't have my glasses on and I could read that. Transparency was something that I kind of talked about with another resident one day, and transparency in everything we do is definitely going to be something that I hope going forward is given out to all the community, so that every step that we take, you guys know about it. And if there's a fiscal decision, or if it's something that affects, water, whatever the budget is going to be, I hope every step of the way it's put on social media. Hopefully it could be on radio. It could be the phone system we have in Torbay, just to let you know that there's an update to the system. But I think definitely transparency and accountability. We all have to take responsibility for the decisions we make as council, and hopefully we can lower taxes in the meanwhile. But anyway, I think that definitely using our platforms would be good. Thank you.
So, I think, and there's some people here who remember, in 2012, before I got on council and we started to provide information to people, there was a small group of us that were on an email list that used to get the council package after the council meeting was over. Now we put more information out to the residents prior to the council meeting than we ever had. And I would put us up against any other municipality when it comes to providing information and being open with residents. Catherine Melbourne even put a piece in her paper, and she said that our town, when it comes to providing information and being open, is as good as anybody and a model for the rest of the towns in our area. So I'm very proud of the record that we have with providing that information. Our council meetings are now streamed. Our council package is online for people to view before the council meeting, so they can come and ask questions, and they can call and advocate with councilors before the meeting. So I think that in terms of that, we're doing really good. Can we do better? Sure. And I'm always open to that.
Please share 2 policies you'll champion to ensure vulnerable sectors feel safe and included at town facilities and events. What programs or training would you encourage? 2 policies to champion vulnerable sectors. I would think one of our most vulnerable sectors would be our smaller children, and working with the town in creating safe environments so they can play and get out into the town and enjoy everything in a safe and well-rounded community. Also, our senior citizens, I would like to have spots for these people to go, whether it be on the walking trail, whether it be over out to Jack Byrne, using that facility out there, and having safe and accessible spots for them to use, and for areas that they might just want to sit down and relax. So we need to keep everybody in the community safe, and hopefully we will with this new council as we move forward.
So with regards to that same question that the colleague just answered, I can agree with her as well as look after the seniors for sure. There's a lot of elderly abuse and senior abuse going on out in our society today, and I think I'm sure the town has policies as well that looks after our people, but I think we could probably build on those. And with regards to small children, I mean, that's evident. This place here hosts a lot of children in the summer times and after school games and stuff, sports. So they're all, there's policies in place for the people who are looking after the children here on site, and that's important as well. But obviously, like everything, it can be built on, made a little better, and make the future a bit better for our children and our seniors. They deserve a good, safe place to live and have fun in. Thank you.
Do you support affordable access to recreation for all seasons and all residents of our community? And how are you propose to make it happen? I think that the first step that we did when it came to recreation in particular with our town was to build this facility. Our council in 2013 had a vision of what we wanted to do. Part of it was to build this building, to increase our trails around the town, to allow people to get out and be able to exercise and enjoy our beautiful community. We continue to build trails in our town, and you know, if you've been down to the beach lately or in some of our subdivisions, the trail work that we're doing and continue doing is really good. So I think as far as affordable goes, the trails are perfect because they don't cost you anything to go on. We try our best to maintain this building and to keep costs down for residents who are using our programs. But there is cost to run the programs, there's cost to run this building, and we try and balance that and try not to overcharge too much, but we need to find the sweet spot, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Any questions? So can I ask when once you've heard the question,
I do support affordable recreation and access. To me, recreation is not just sports and activities and physical activities, but it also involves mental health. And a lot of our seniors are isolated. Involving them in community and recreation is really important. Having a place to go like the Commons has really made a difference in Torbay. So it's not just getting outside to me, it's also being able to gather, it's also being able to have people come together. And there are different programs within the province that have funding so that families that can't afford those types of things can still avail of those programs, not just sports, but for coming together for events, for games, for bridge, for cards, whatever's being hosted. But I believe that it definitely should be accessible to all people of all ages.
so I was laughing with the vacuum cleaner starting up.
So the question is keeping our town rural a priority? If so, why or why not? Well, I think we're going to have to drive our town in a rural direction for a little bit more due to our water issues in the town. And when I think when the water gets rectified, we should be able to get better high concentration, smaller homes and stuff like that to some services. For me, I look at both sides of it. I've done both in business, and I think there's a fine balance between both of it. We do need to attract younger families to our community. I mean, we need to grow our community. Torbay is a great place for kids to live, be raised. We moved here from Alberta to do that for our children. Smaller accommodations for senior people, that's kind of what I'm involved in, and that's a good piece of it as well. And that's what I'll continue to work for both of those. So give you a priority. If it's one or the other, I can't say yes or no, but we should certainly go with both of them. That's my spirit on it anyway. Thank you.
So keeping our town rural, is that a priority? It is. I've grown up, like Torbay has grown immensely from when I was a kid. It is a priority to a certain extent because as Sam said about the water issues, we're gonna be like this, we'll be this size for a while, but we need to also invite new families in who are looking for the environment that we have here. And also too, we have seniors who eventually are gonna look to downsize, and I would never in a million years move outside of Torbay. So to have the opportunity to have a smaller place to live that would be still ours, but more manageable for as we continue to age, that's a big priority also. So in the sense of rural being a priority, I think we'll always be rural. I don't think.
Thank you.
the question is, what do you see as opportunities to improve access to healthcare in our community for young families and seniors? I think right now we're actually very lucky when it comes to healthcare in our community. We have a wonderful clinic here with doctors that are very available. I know there's still an issue of not being able to find physicians for some people, but in Torbay, I feel that we have a really good support system. We have doctors in our area, we have nurse practitioners in our area, we have physio, chiropractors, massage therapists, all in our area. We also have, very close to us, the new healthcare facility on Stavanger, even though it's not in Torbay, it's very close to us. So young families and seniors, I think, in our town right now have a lot of those facilities available to us, and we're very lucky for that. I don't know how we would improve access to that, given that it hasn't been brought forward to me at this point as a real issue in our town. Thank you.
Opportunities to improve access to healthcare in our community. Well, I have to agree with parents. I think we're very well equipped here. We have a solid pharmacy with staff that's helpful. We do have 4 doctors, I believe, in the clinic here now. They are considering adding a 5th doctor, which would be great because they are still saying that they can't take new patients. So that would be important, but I think encouraging them to get more doctors would be a great thing. I think the new facility out on Stavanger Drive is going to be a benefit to this community in the sense that a lot of our appointments, I know I already have appointments scheduled there for January, and I'm looking forward to going there rather than the health science. So I see that as a good thing. I think this comes back a lot to improvements to regional transportation that was talked about earlier this week to allow people to be able to get to those appointments. Is going to be an important point to consider.
How would you approach budgeting to ensure the town provides high-quality services while keeping taxes fair and balanced? To answer that question, what I will say, I'll start off by saying that once the new council is elected, that team's gonna jump feet first into budget consultations. And from my experience over the last 4 years, this is and will always be your main top priority, because this is where the upcoming year is going to be decided on what can and can't be done financially. And everything done in the town is a financial issue. Those budget consultations are so important. I've spent hours every single year, sat around a table, going line by line down over the budget, and discussing each and every one around the table and getting everyone's input so that we can see it from every perspective and come together and make a conscientious decision and choices on how and what the budget is going to look like for the coming year.
Thank you.
This is actually a great question. For myself, coming new into council, it's going to be really looking at the numbers, relying on people around me as well, looking at current reports, seeing where the money has currently been spent, having conversations with our residents, seeing what's important on the table, what do we need in our community, where do we need to be spending money, how do we keep this budget without increasing taxes, ideally decrease taxes. But, at this point, we need to really maintain status quo. Affordability is an issue for a lot of people. Depending on what point you are, money is tight for everybody. So budgets, I think, are more and more important to our residents this year. especially with the provincial change as well. We need to work with other, have a great relationship with the provincial side too, and see where we really can get I lost my train of thought, guys, I apologize. But where we can strengthen those relationships to make sure that budgets for the town make most sense.
In sort of a tax-related budget question. For the incumbent candidates, can you please explain increasing taxes during your last term? For the new candidates, how will you work to ensure that there are no further increases in taxes? So I fall under that category, potentially being a new councillor, so, and I am aware that budget is going to be the very first item that the new council will have to tackle. I'm a taxpayer like everybody else is here in this town, so I'm certainly interested in how we keep taxes at a reasonable level. I'm also cognizant of the fact through my work experience and that prices are going up and that it does cost money to provide services. So there is a balance that needs to be handled here. I think we have to look at all of our existing services, turn to the staff, find out what's working, what's not working. Is there money that can be moved around? In terms of the taxes this year, I understand is a year when assessments are going to play into it. So we may be fortunate enough not to have to go with heavy tax increases. That'll be helpful, but it means that people are still going to pay more. But it is a process that I take very seriously, and I'll use the experience that I have in all my previous work in developing the budget.
Thank you.
The main part of the question is how will I work to ensure that there are no further increases to taxes? When it comes to, that's kind of ominous. When it comes to taxes, my main focus is to make sure that our residents get as much value for the tax dollars that they do spend. As a new candidate, I can't promise that I can go in and automatically lower taxes. I know a lot of candidates will just say that that's one of their main priorities, but again, mine is that you get as much value for the taxes that you guys do pay. I would sit down, obviously we're going to be going down through line items on the budget, but I would also try to sit down with different groups to see how they would be affected by different cuts or increases to their particular budgets for whatever their initiative might be, and make my decisions based on how it would affect them the most.
Okay, so my question is, how do you see the role of council in working with residents, staff, and community groups? I think, we're all here for a reason. We all stem from beginnings in the community. We stem from working with our residents side by side most days, having conversations with our residents. For myself, being on council is no different than being a parent or being a member of my community and being involved. I think we do, though, need to step it up and have those conversations very similar to what Dalton just included with our individual community groups and see how we can support them further. Talk to the vulnerable sector groups in our group as well. And, in regards to staff, we need to all work together. So as a council, we need to work together. As a community, we need to work together, and we need to support all of our local community groups too.
So how do you see the role of council in working with residents, staff, and community groups. My big, I guess, decision here would be, or how to resolve this, is more communication. There definitely needs to be a lot more communication between the residents, the staff, and especially the community groups. In the past, we've had decisions that were made at budget time, and they were not communicated down to the various groups until several months later that they knew what their budget was. And a lot of the issues that you hear currently facing council and staff and community groups is lack of effective communication. And we need that, especially after the budget and any time during the year, if any of the areas, any of the particular events is going to have an effect on those groups and on the residents. So it needs to be more than social media. It needs to also be put out there in various other forms to ensure that the residents are aware of what's happening.
So the question, we have some big ticket items within our town and coming on the horizon, such as Torbay Commons, the History House, water quality and supply issues, aging infrastructure. How can you help ensure that these items do not increase the tax burden on the residents? So with the bigger projects, a lot of these are going to be cost-sharing initiatives with different levels of government and any other groups that might be involved. So I think one of the big things is trying to find as much funding as we can from other levels of government and other organizations, as opposed to having to just automatically rely on increasing taxes on our residents. So that would definitely be for the bigger ticket items. For other things, you know, there could be some improvements made to the Torbay Commons, maybe some additions made. Now, I think they could be explored each on their own merit. They would have to be you know, discussed to see how much they would cost. But ultimately, I think we would have to weigh the benefits of each one. If it's something that I don't think would benefit a broad enough group of people, then it isn't something that I would support.
Thank you for the mic and the question. You know, serving at this table the last 8 years, this is something that I've actually had experience with. And one of the things that we talked about when I was at the last FCM meeting was planning with the City of Burlington. And they do 20 and 25-year plans. So what we need to be doing is looking at what are the costs for these infrastructure. We also need to be looking at leveraging those funds and bringing them in. I have experience with them at the table as well. But if we take water, for example, if we develop Great Pond, the operating, the cost to develop it and do all that work comes down to the taxpayers at the end of the day to make sure that we pay for that infrastructure, that we maintain it, that we keep it going. If we look at a conversation with the regional water supply, all of a sudden, we could have a situation whereby the cost is cost shared across all those municipalities to bring in regional water, and that not just be a cost borne by the residents of Torbay. So we need to be open to ideas, look at opportunities, and make sure that we have comprehensive planning that makes sure we don't get stuck with big costs downstream. Thank you.
What is your vision for managing growth and development in the community over the next 4 years? This is, I guess, an area when we talk about growth, it has to be done in a way that, especially with the water issue for the next 4 years, so managing the growth is going to be limited until we get another water source, and I mentioned there a couple of weeks ago, that I'm not sure that we should be doing any development until we get a feeling for the contamination and where that's heading. Because right now, it started off in Pond Ridge, it's at Man's Lane, so what's stopping it developing on the groundwater and where that's going to go? So I really am firm in bringing in expertise that we need, because we don't know what it is we don't know, and to look at development for the next 4 years in conjunction with making sure that we are able to develop properly.
Well, with reference to, I guess, the growth and development, it's been sort of a learning exercise over the past couple of months, really, where we actually went out to the residents for a couple of amendments, and there was, I won't say uproar, but there was good response in terms of telling us what we should or shouldn't do. And we actually brought that back to the table and listened, and you know, I've been on this council now for 8 years, and it amazes me that, not that I still learn, because I learn lots of things every day, but that I happen to learn more about the planning and people's desire to maintain that old character of Torbay and not see, you know, hillsides destroyed and things of that nature. We know what water issues, they would eventually be solved. You know, 96% of fresh water on the earth is underwater, so we're talking surface water is a cure for some, but there's lots of water underground. We still have to control that growth, and we're going through the town plan now, so that I think everybody should take a look at the town plan, understand what it is we're trying to do, and identify those areas that we save for agriculture, we save for rural development, we save for high density development, and things of that nature. Thank you.
So the question is, what are your thoughts on public transportation as a regional initiative and need throughout the community? Absolutely something that I think we need to be talking about. In fact, I believe regional cooperation is something that we should be having more conversation about. The ability for our communities to stay our communities, but work together. This is not something new in Newfoundland and Labrador, it's happening all over the place. When I was Vice President of Municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador, we did a regionalization study. And one of the things I disagreed with in that report was that the Northeast Avalon did not need regional cooperation. I would argue that we need it the most. Why should we be buying separate things when we can get cost value for all these things together? I bet you we get a lower cost for salt if all communities came together and looked at one truck bringing it through. Regional transportation can provide opportunity to bring people in and out of our community. It can bring down costs. It can open up opportunities for responsible development. So I think that there's lots of opportunities for regional cooperation. Certainly support this initiative, support regional conversations as we move forward, and thank you for the question.
What are your thoughts on public transportation as a regional initiative and need throughout the community? Absolutely. I also work in the town of Lowy Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove, and we do a lot of seniors events there. And the biggest complaint, if we go outside the town, there's no transportation. Same thing when I was special event coordinator in Torbay. All the events we had at Torbay Common was great. Sometimes seniors need a bus. And it falls down on who pays for the bus. Is it the town? Is it the seniors? North Pond Home would come over here to seniors concerts. They had to get a bus, and I'll fall back on the seniors over there. They pay enough as it is. So with the town, with permission from the council at the time, we would pay for a bus. The more transportation we would offer residents, the bigger our numbers would be at special events. So I'm all for this initiative. I think it's great. Thank you.
Take 5 minutes to read this one first. gotta be the one with the most words on it, it really does. Our community is a blend of socioeconomic groups ranging from young families to aging seniors, many with complex issues and challenges, specifically around mental health, wellness, and affordable housing. With limited resources, how would you prioritize your work on these concerns, and what actions would you take? Good question. Good question. The part about the limited resources is certainly right. You know, as a town, you know, our resources are just that. I guess from the challenges, one is we always need to be cognizant of the challenges that do exist for all our residents in terms of accessibility and the understandability and what we do from a presentation perspective moving forward. Mental health wellness is way more forefront and center than it ever has been. So we always have to be conscious of that when we're doing whatever we do in council. And I got to go back to respect and treating people in a way that people should be treated, i.e., you know, in a reasonable manner and an understanding manner, and realize that they don't necessarily know all the information that you know and that type of sharing things. We also would need to reach out to the resources that know how to deal with these things. We are not the experts, so we would definitely have to consult with the wider range of expertise in the environment or in the town, and bring that back to aid us in how we move forward in solving these issues. And I only answered about half that because this is a 10-point question.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say ditto to what Tony said. No, last week I did attend the public transportation feasibility study meeting, and this was all talked about young people, teenagers, seniors, and how accessibility is something that they need to have access to, because how do they get to the events that would bring them into a social setting and help their mental health? And affordable housing, that kind of comes back to like having a senior's home, or maybe like a condo situation for affordable living, 50+ living. The resources, I'd say you have to get into the budget and kind of trim the fat, I guess you would say it's the same, to try and find some extra resources. So yeah, I get in there. I'd like to work with seniors and have some programs in place so that they can come and just socialize. And I got the red card, so thank you.
So the red card means you have 5 more seconds. So that is round 1 complete. We are less than an hour in, so I think there's lots of time to do a second round. We'll do that one a little bit different. And let's take a 5-minute break or so. You can go to the bathroom, have coffee, there's water, there's cookies, etc. pave the last end of a road. We had that last night in Porcelain Cove. So the person with ticket ending in 2221. If you want to ask a question, come up to the microphone. You can ask the question and then you can indicate which 3 people you would like to answer the question. Again, the number is 2221.
Hi there, my name is Melissa Barbeau. I am on the Torbay Public Library Board, and I'm also the director of the Community Program. So we have, as we have directors from the Torbay Public Library Board as well, we would like to know.
Can you get closer?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll start over. My name is Melissa Barbeau. I am on the Torbay Public Library Board, and I'm also the director of the Holy Trinity High Breakfast Program. We have some members of the board here as well from the Torbay Public Library. We would like to know how you would support community groups like ours. Financially, of course, we would love to hear that you were going to give groups like ours financial support, but apart from that, we'd like to know how you will support our groups outside of those financial parameters. Like, how will you support us other than with money, though we do want your money also.
And who would you like to answer the question?
Oh my goodness. I think the candidates, how many can I ask?
3.
The candidates for mayor, please.
Sorry, which one?
The candidates for mayor?
The 3 candidates for mayor, okay. Go ahead.
All right, I gotta stand up because Paul told me to stand up and I always listen to Paul. So, Melissa, thank you. And I think that since we unceremoniously removed the library from the town hall, we as a council have come forward with funding each year to pay the rent for the public library, and we're happy to do that and continue doing it. Personally, I support the library by coming in and I participate in some readings sometimes, and I really appreciate you asking me to do that. We do have some plans when we do an expansion of the History House, and I think you might be aware, there might be an opportunity there for library to be in that space. And you know, I can't say too much about that because it's still in the planning stages, but I think that would be a wonderful place for us to have our library, and I have no intention of stopping supporting the public library. I think it's very important, and I think our track record of doing it speaks for itself.
Thank you for the question. Only a few weeks ago, I mentioned that we normally had a liaison on the library board from the town. And I know the plan is to continue the funding on a regular basis that we've been providing for the rent off the drugstore there, the location that you're in. And also, if there's any programs that you would like for us to be involved in, if we had a liaison, at least then we would know how we would go about that. Because I know there was meditation and maybe yoga that you had over in the library a few years ago, and I understood that it went over really well. So with the various programs, and especially you also mentioned about the breakfast program. I know we contributed to that a while back, and also having volunteers that would help with the breakfast program.
Thank you for the question, Melissa. Very important question, and the library is a very important part of our community. As you know, the past 8 years that I've been at the council, I've supported the library every which way I can. I agree with the mayor and the deputy mayor. This is something that council has always made a priority in the budget discussion, and something that in my opinion, we certainly should. The integration and working together in the programming side is something that we can certainly talk about. You know, yoga is something that we do here. Yoga is something we can do with you. There's a whole bunch of conversations around mental health and learning and program offering. There's a question here about what we could do. We can absolutely take different programs, work with you, and offer them together. Absolutely open to the conversation that the mayor shared about how do we integrate the library into some of our infrastructure? I think that's a great conversation as well. So you can take that to the bank, and as someone who served with the Holy Trinity Elementary breakfast program, happy to roll up my sleeves any morning and here to support in any way I can as well. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to go to a second round of 13 questions. If there's time in the end, we'll pull some more questions out of the hat. This one's going to be a bit different. We're going to start at the end with a question, and then the person who answers will be from the magic Ziploc bag. Okay. Oh, sorry. I've also been asked if the candidates can state your name before you speak, because a lot of people don't know whom you are. And the rebroadcast of the show this event that's being taped will be closed captioned, so you have to turn the closed captioning on to be able to see it. And I just want to say, I did 33 years in the military. I volunteer on a lot of boards, and it's pretty daunting to get up here and do this. So I'd like to have one round of applause for the people that stood up and say, hey, I'll be I know I don't own a business in Torbay. But I do teach babysitting courses at the library. Okay.
Name two commitments or mandates you would deliver in your first 12 months.
And the person answering, the second person answering the question is Toby Pollard. Oh, no, that's you. Relax now.
Wow, commitments or mandates I would deliver in my first 12 months. Well, one for sure relates to, I'm sorry, I'm Tony Pollard, relates to the municipal plan, and one of them is for me to actually review the engineering guidelines associated with that and try to get some interpretation around it so that it actually helps people and doesn't necessarily hinder. And we had the conversation earlier around the modern Torbay and old Torbay and how we preserve rural culture and things of that nature. And I think a lot of that rests within that as well. Oh, time frame for that. And as well, the body of the municipal plan itself. That's one. The other thing too is a commitment that I've always made, and that is to try to keep people well informed of how the budget process works and what actually we can control on a day-to-day basis from the monetary side of things. Because while people talk about mill rate means very little when 50% of that or 60% of that is gone as soon as we sit down in the first place. We have no control over it, it's already spent. So I think people need to realize that the limited funds we deal with. So I like to keep that education up front for anybody who is interested. And I'm free to talk about that to anybody anytime.
Thank you.
Mary Thorne Goss, currently the deputy mayor. Two commitments or mandates that we deliver in the first 12 months. I've been a stickler, and I keep commenting all the time about communication. And I really think that it's necessary for us to have another form of communication besides social media, because a lot of our seniors are not on social media, and I really think and believe that if we have one person that's not on social media, that don't know where things are located, that we need to do better. The other thing that I'm all for is e-services. Anybody that wants to register for programs or services here, it's to the point that it's almost mandatory to go in on e-services. We recently had an event here for seniors for a full day, and it was sold out in a matter of 45 minutes. So I really want to see e-services change so that it's something that's accessible for everybody.
Thank you. And Trini, would you like to draw the next question? And Colleen will be the second person to answer.
Hi everybody, I'm Trina Appleby, past Deputy Mayor and current Councillor of the Town of Torbay. The question is, what will be your plan for water and sewer for unserved areas? Right now we're engaging in a review of our municipal plan, and part of that is engaging with residents, talking about how do you want our town to look for years to come? And I think that review and that work and that engagement consultation with residents will definitely roll out in a conversation about what areas of our town we're developing and how. When it comes to the development of property, property is privately owned, and people have the opportunity to work with the town to figure out how they want to develop their property, what that looks like, and how we work together. We do have conversations with residents about how do we zone, rezone, what that might look like. But again, this conversation really comes back to how are we going to develop our town? I think we need to develop our town so that's accessible, inclusive, and a responsible way that's engaged with residents. And one of the residents had said to me, you know what you need to be, Trina? Your council needs to be connected to the residents. So if I were mayor, I'm opening an invitation for every member of this municipality to reach out and talk to me, and let's talk together about how we find those solutions. Thank you.
So Craig wants to buy this question off me, so I'm giving a gift to him for $25. Okay, what would your plan for water and sewer from unserved areas? I don't really have one. So I am going to say that the biggest issue that I heard going from door to door is water and sewer. Water, water, water. So we, as a council, as a town, have to come up with something amazing to make the people of Torbay feel safe with their water. And we don't have that right now, and we're gonna have people who wanna move out, and they're going to take a loss on their homes, but they figure it's better that way than have their families at risk because of contaminated water or lack of water. So this is monumental, and we have to work on it as soon as the new council gets elected. I hope that I am part of it, because to me, this is the biggest thing we will ever face as a town.
Thank you. And the person answering the question second will be Sam Goff.
Mary Thorne Goss, currently deputy mayor. Question is, what can we do to overcome the obstacles such paperwork and hard to understand regulations to assist the progress of residential development? Well, this is something that we had talked about with the accelerated funding that just came up, and we have a new manager for that program that supposedly is going to cut back on the paperwork and the amount, more importantly, the amount of time that it's taking to get an application processed, which I think is really necessary at this point in time, because for a lot of residents, what I'm hearing is that it could take up to 14 weeks to have an application put through. So it's the regulations that are there, and those regulations for the most part are our own regulations, and as well as the municipal plan review that's currently underway. We have control over the length of time that it's taking for us to in actual fact, administer a building permit.
Please remember to say
So this is a great question. Actually, it's one I've thought on for the last few years. I do business both Torbay and Flat Rock, and I'll just be honest, Flat Rock is a much easier town to do business with. You can roll in, get your permit put in place, get your bill done, roll out, very easy. It's a little more complex here in Torbay. My thoughts around that is basically a flow chart. Let's put a simple flow chart up as you stagger through your points where you need to be. If there's an issue, you get stopped here, then it gives you a direction to go, rather than trying to figure it out, getting an email from somebody at the office. It's just a better way to do things. People know what to anticipate going into it. You tie up a lot of money when you're at this stuff, and the faster you get it out and get it done, I think it's better for everybody. So that's what I would recommend for that kind of stuff anyway. A bit more help from our local employees at the town. Be great. Thank you.
the second person to answer will be Scott.
My name is Dalton Tapper. So the question is, what investments or partnerships do you believe are most important to strengthen community safety and emergency preparedness? I think after seeing the events that happened this summer with wildfires and a lot of the different communities in the area coming together, that a big part of it is going to be working with other communities to expand emergency preparedness services. It's fantastic that Torbay has an excellent fire department, where we have a tanker with St. John's. The fire department in St. John's only has a single tanker. So I think not only improving our own fire departments, but also being there to help other communities improve their own volunteer fire departments and emergency preparedness would ultimately help everybody in this area, because we all help out. We all help each other out, whether it's Torbay having to go to Flat Rock or Alling, or them having to come to help us. So I think one of the main things would be communicating with the other towns and stakeholders, and working together to make sure that we are as prepared as possible.
My name is Scott Martin. I'm the current Community Service Coordinator at Town of Logan Bay and Middle Cove. What investments or partnerships do you believe are most important to strengthen community safety and emergency preparedness? Right off the bat, we do have the best volunteer fire department in the province. I'll stake them against anybody. Also, I would like to see the satellite office from the RNC back in Torbay. We all hear the complaints. The Honda Civics and the dirt bikes, we all hear the complaints. But by the time you call the RNC and you get down, obviously they're long gone. But with a satellite office here, there's more presence. I really do believe it'll be great help for the community and it'll keep us safe. We can all tell stories about dealing with fast cars and dirt bikes, but this isn't the time for that tonight. So thank you very much.
Lori Furlong. My question is, how would you balance the needs for new infrastructure with the preservation of rural character? And I think we've lightly touched on this already tonight as well. I personally moved to Torbay because of its beauty. I moved to get out of the city for a reason. I moved for the trails, I moved for the ATV access, for lots of many things that I think a lot of us settled here or stayed here. For myself, we do need development. Every community needs development, but it needs to be done responsibly, it needs to be done with structure, it needs to be done with planning. And right now, we are not in a place to add any more developments to our town until we can obviously address the water issue and how we move forward as a council on that. So needs for new infrastructure though, we do have some aging buildings down here, and we do need to start looking at how do we invest back in there. So mainly, I don't really want to change Torbay too much, but I do feel we do need some development, we do need additional resources there for our kids, and I want my kids to grow in a community where they have all the things that they need. And yes, we are close to St. John's, but you know, why not keep it in our own place?
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Craig Scott, I'm the current mayor. I agree that we do need to continue to develop. We've been pretty stagnant for the last 8 years. And I know that people talk about rising tax rate. Yes, because we've been stagnant for the last 8 years. And the biggest impediment to us growing is our water supply that we need to develop. The regional water supply is out of the question. We were told that 2 years ago. We got a letter from St. John's saying that we cannot connect. It's going to be 20 years before we can. We got funding from the federal government to do Great Pond. We're going to have to move forward on that. We also need to address the water issues with people with PFAS. The first step is to bring on capacity so that we can run municipal water to those homes so people can have safe, clean drinking water. And I think that our infrastructure in the town, our building infrastructure, is all fairly new. It's all in really good shape. The new stuff, the stuff that's under the ground is where we really need to focus going forward. Thank you.
I did draw Paul's name, so I'm not. Trina will be the person to respond. I'm putting Paul's name back in the bag.
Hi, I'm Paul Torbay, I'm a candidate for councillor. The question I have is probably one we've been all talking about here this evening anyway. The two major problems facing the town, namely sufficient clean water that is in short supply, and the pollution of our beautiful harbour by the dumping of raw sewage. What would you do to bring these issues to the front, and how would you approach rectifying them? Well, I think number one, they're already to the front. They are the biggest issues that this town is facing. The word water comes into play every single day. I'm probably fortunate in the sense that I live on the Valley line, I have an artesian well that can feed 20 homes, and I have a storage system that hardly used because there's only 2 of us in the house. So probably not a big issue for me, but I understand the issue, and I believe they do go hand in hand. The need for a stable, solid water supply is the priority that I ran on, and the need to figure out how we're going to deal with our storage to keep it from polluting not only our harbor, but our wetlands and other areas. And of course, there's also the other issue of the contamination that we're dealing with out in the north end, or the south end of Torbay, that seems to be growing. So, big issue, it's the one that we have to work on, and I'm convinced it's already in the forefront.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, Trina Appleby. These are absolutely very important conversations for us to have. Again, like many of my colleagues, PFAS, pollution, water supply, water quality, water quantity are major conversations that we're having. Affordability is another one. From our perspective as a council, what can we do? We can control who gets the permit and ability to build and grow in this community. In a recent meeting, I was one of the councillors who said, you know what, when was the last time we updated our groundwater study? It was 2015. The director said in that meeting, we don't have the understanding to really responsibly develop at this point with that information. So I did ask for that groundwater study to be updated. I also asked the committee to look at the idea of a freeze for development in areas that are impacted by PFAS. I believe 100% solution should be provided by whoever created 100% of the problem. And as far as the wastewater conversation, I was in Toronto a couple of years ago. I went up, I came back with a $100,000 voucher because I met with a business who was looking at innovative solutions for wastewater. I'm happy to speak with anyone about it. I'm out of time, so I will stop. But again, my personal cell number is on cards and all my information. I'm very happy to have the conversation.
Thank you, thank you. And the second person to answer the question would be Jennifer Wood.
Hi, Rhonda Manning, President Council. How should the town support local agriculture? That is farms. That's a good question. And in regards of support, there hasn't been a whole lot of conversation the last 4 years while I've been around the table. It hasn't really come up as a topic, but it's definitely needed as a topic, especially in this day and age we're living in. So I would love to have this brought to the attention of councils and have people come who's interested. I know years ago we did, well, my generation, we grew up with farms and you were out weeding and all that stuff. So to get back to that would be really good, really be good. And like I said, the discussion should be brought back around the table and see who the interested parties are. I know we have gardens here in the summer and things like that, and it goes well, but it's only a small group. We need to put it out there and see more people involved and get more people involved. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Whitten. So local agriculture, I'm not sure if we still had it this year, but I know that we used to have community gardens, and I think they were down behind the town hall or down behind the old graveyard. So we could probably bring those back. There should be some support offered and maybe some educational sessions for people who actually want to get into gardening, the agriculture, whether it be small scale or big scale in Torbay. Because I know Ross Travers used to do some sessions here, and I'm sure there are a lot of people with green thumbs who could come together and we could have another community garden. And then if you want to take it large scale, maybe there's some people who have some ideas that kind of bring that together for Torbay. And that's about all I can think of right now, but the community gardens would be nice actually. And then they could probably sell whatever they grow. Bring a little bit of profit to themselves for the summer. Anyway, thank you.
The second person to ask a question will be Wanda.
I'm Karen Goss. The question is, what do you see as top priorities for maintaining, improving core services such as snow clearing, road maintenance, and waste services? The top priority for core services, even though water isn't mentioned, is of course the top priority. Waste services tied into that. There's a lot of different things that have been looked at for that. And beach, putting a big waste treatment center there, I don't think is the answer. There's a lot of different ideas that have come from that. There are ways of implementing small wetlands that have been looked at in the past. I know it's been talked about in council. I'm not privy to all of that information because I have not been on council. But there are different avenues that won't destroy our beach and put a big eyesore on it, and will still have different options for waste management here. Snow clearing and maintenance and those things, I think this is sometimes where we look at regionalization on a smaller scale. I know that sounds like a dirty word to a lot of people, but it's not. We don't give up our independence. We don't give up Torbay. We don't give up our decision-making skills or options in that. We just join in that and have it be more cost-effective here in our town.
Once again, Brandon, Karen, some well brought up points there. Top priorities for maintaining and improving core services such as snow clearing, road maintenance, and waste services. I know waste services is presently on the radar with council right now, and going through the process of seeing what the best process could or would be for Torbay and area. So that is something that is already being worked on, and which is a good start, no doubt. Road maintenance, that's always going to be an issue, and infrastructure, like everything else, it has aged, but with the different programs on the go and financing, we're working through getting the roads updated, and sometimes not as quickly as some would like, but it's being done and it's being worked at, and can we improve it? Absolutely. Once again, that
Thank you.
discussion. Already? This is getting really good.
And the second person to ask this question will be Karen.
All right, so this question is a good question. My name is Sam Goss, running for council. So what is your position on sole sourcing work? Would you implement and support open bidding process on all town work such as landscaping, parks? For me, I'd like to get things done by the contract. That's the best bang for your buck. Maybe that's what we should do sometimes. There is core staff we need to keep on for sure. But at the end of the day, it's about saving taxpayers money in the long term over the next 25, 30 years. Sole source contracting is good, or we could go out to other vendors as well. I mean, I think LMO does it over there. Some of the roads are done by contracts, and not own equipment. I do believe the highway's even done a little piece over there along Outcroft Shore. So it's not a bad way to go. But once again, you've got to get into the weeds, figure out exactly what we need for core staff, core workload, core business as usual for the town, and then what we can pick out of that to contract out. I'll be all for it, and certainly we'll work towards it. Now, if there's people in the town that's probably not going to be workers in particular, we'll be all over that, but those are just bridges we've got to get across at the end of the day, and some difficulty for sure. Thank you.
Again, I'm Karen Goss. When it comes to this question, the bottom line is whatever is going to save us money in this town, whether it's sole sourcing or whether it's putting a bid forward. I know we do a lot of our work through bids through the town of Torbay, but we don't want anything else coming down to rest on the shoulders of our residents when it comes to any kind of tax increases. We don't want to cut staff that we don't need to cut, but we also want to make sure that the positions we have for the staff in Torbay are not overlapping, and that those job descriptions are met within the processes that we have in place right now. So we want to make sure that we're not sourcing something out that we already have somebody in place for, but at the end of the day, I think that whatever is going to save us money, whether that be taking the lowest bid or the best work, or whether we use somebody already in place in Torbay, I think that that needs to be looked at within the budget when we look at that over the next few weeks. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Craig Scott, Mayor again. Small business has been recognized as the backbone of many communities. What initiatives do you feel are required to support and encourage the development of small business? I think that last year we really started to step up our game in terms of engaging with our small business. We do have a lot of small business in our town. I think it's over 265 or something like that, the last count that I saw. Many of these are home-based business, but we do have other ones that are sprinkled throughout the town. I think our business tax is really favorable compared to some of the other towns around us, particularly St. John's, where we're trying to attract business to come from. And I think that our business awards and recognizing our businesses is a really good thing. I know that I've spoken to some business owners lately, and they are trying to move their business from Paradise, Mount Pearl, and St. John's into the town of Torbay. So I directed him to some landowners, particularly off the bypass road, where it might be opportunity for him to be able to move his business here. So I think that's important for councillors and the mayor to look at economic development, that's what I call that, and advertising our town and making sure people understand that this is a place that can come to do business.
Thank you. Tony Pollard, current councillor of Town of Torbay. Of course, everything that Craig said is true, but I think in addition to that, we need to actually streamline our development regulations and processes so that smaller businesses don't have to go through the hoops that maybe some larger businesses do, because certainly they wouldn't have the same number of requirements. I guess the other thing too is something that's always bothered me in my previous life and this life is sometimes I look at small businesses and say, they're being taxed twice. They're being taxed on their property, they're being taxed on their business income. When in actual fact, at the end of the day, their business income is probably no greater, or their income take home is no greater than what a person would on their normal salary. So they're pretty double taxed. And I would certainly be willing to review that taxation system and to see what we can do to help small businesses survive and drive some business into the town of Torbay.
My question, how would you improve public engagement in our community? We certainly do not have enough public engagement. Issues I have heard during the time going around to homes have been mind-boggling to me, because I've never heard, I did not know there was contamination out in the Karen Drive area until I went to the area. And I'd only heard that, and I was at a council meeting, and I overheard two persons there talking about it. It should never happen. Things of that magnitude should not go on. The whole town should know what areas are affected with problems, because we need, as a town, to pull all these problems together and get rid of them as a town, not having each little group segregated. You take care of your problem, we are a town, we'll all work together for that. Thank you.
Lori Furlong, running for council. How would you improve public engagement in our community? Honestly, a lot of it comes down to communication, getting in front of groups, having meetings, having open forums, talking with groups like the library down there. How do we engage this more? Open communication, having a placement that people can actively reach us easily. It could be more than social media. It could be simply a directed email to community engagement. I don't know, like I said, as a new coming in, I'm open to ideas here, but at the end of the day for me, it is being available, listening, providing resources that our residents can get better communication and what they need from us and what they expect in our community.
Second person to answer will be Paul.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Whitten. What would you do to promote and make the community age-friendly where seniors can stay in their community while they age? I personally have a mother who is, I'm not going to say old, because she's not. She's getting to an age where we are looking at having her move in with me. Now, I love my mother, but I would like her to have her own space. But I would like to look at the regulations surrounding in-law apartments, in-law suites. So that's something we've actually personally have looked at. I would like to see something in Torbay where it's, but again, the water issue is, how do you put in condos for senior living when you haven't got the water to put to them? So I guess some regulations around the in-law apartments and in-law suites, because a lot of people, I know I'm going to take care of my mother forever, and I see other people are doing the same thing. So anyway, I think we should, as council, look into that and see if we can loosen the strings around that a little bit to make it more accessible for people in Torbay to keep their family alone.
Exercise is good. Paul Toomey, I'm running for council. What would you do to promote and make the community age-friendly where seniors can stay in their community while they age? Really good question, because I'm a senior. And because it's something that we have been thinking about for a while now. 12 years ago, we moved from one house to another in Torbay, built it as one level, thought that was great. Didn't factor in the fact that it's 3,400 square feet and it's over a half acre of land that has to be maintained because you want things to look good. 12, 13 years later, now we'd love to downsize, but we also want to stay in Torbay. And trying to figure out where we're going to go, how we're going to come up with a new place is something that really has to be considered. I don't have an answer. I know that our first problem is water. But I think the opportunity for various types of housing, including age-friendly housing, is something that has to be a priority after we get the water issues fixed. Thank you.
Scott Martin. What would your plan be to correct the PFAS contaminated water? Well, the plan will be to fight. Talk with the federal government, Transport Canada. And as a town, we can communicate. If we have a meeting, regardless of the outcome, we can let the residents know, hey, we had a meeting. Out in Pine Ridge area, Sunday, we're out walking around talking to residents. And that was a big concern. They said, we want to know what the town is doing. If you have a meeting, if you have a phone call. And I know sometimes staff are busy and we have to take a phone call, but they just want to know. Residents want to know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and what the plan is going to be going forward with the PFAS. And again, a lot of them understood as a town, you know, we don't have the actual answer as a town, but we got to fight. We got to work with the federal government and Transport Canada to make the issue go away. Thank you.
Dalton Tapper, running for council. Glad I got this question. So my biggest concern with PFAS right now is the fact that the scope of the problem seems to be expanding at a very quick rate. When the announcement for Grace Pond was first made, the minister, who's still our current minister, she mentioned that the first pipeline from Great Pond should go right to Pine Ridge. But as more information is coming out, it seems as though people in other areas of Torbay could have been living with this problem for up to 30 or 40 years now, thanks to Transport Canada. So very generous of the federal government to give us $30 million to develop Great Pond when it looks like one of their departments may have been contaminating half the groundwater in Torbay for 30 or 40 years now. So I think one of the main things that I can do, it's not something I can promise that I'll fix, but if elected, I can guarantee you that my name will become very well known to Joanne Thompson, and it will probably be ringing in her ears until she retires. So that is the name of
So that ends the second round robin. I'm glad we did the second one, because there's a lot of questions that were submitted to me by townsfolk. And there's a lot. I'm a wanderer. There was a lot of questions submitted. So there was only 3 not answered or asked, and they were kind of already addressed. So the next thing and the last thing we're going to do for tonight is we're going to get each of the candidates to do a 1.5-minute summary address to people. And, sorry? Well, we're going to do by random draw. So Rosie, can you draw a ball out of the hat? What number is it? 3. 3 is Colleen Tapper. You're up.
I need to get out here for this one. Moving forward, I think we have to use a phased approach. Water has to be phase 1, and I'm thinking everybody here will agree with that phase. Our energies and resources have to go into guaranteeing safe, clean water for our people from large and reliable sources. I don't think we're really tapping into that with Great Pond, but that's not my department. But I'm thinking there's lots more large, more reliable sources. Until this happens, our hands are tied in so many areas. When we can get phase 1 satisfied, we need to move to phase 2. Planned development and related infrastructure. The range of these things could include more family homes being built, more businesses being developed, more housing available for seniors, more sidewalk development coupled with improving drainage systems. With the success of phase 2, then we have a steady tax-based return. Let's put those dollars into enhanced community resources. These could include AstroTurf for our soccer field, a second arena, and a swimming pool at Jack Byrne, clean up the Torbay Beach, and monies for implementing the Killick Coast transportation system. These are proposed phases, but implementing these proposed plans have to be done in a carefully designed, step-by-step approach, or very costly mistakes can be made, and the people of Torbay will be paying for those mistakes. So let's do it right. It can happen. This group can be the ones to make it happen.
Number 7 is Rhonda Manning.
Well said, Colleen, well said. Everything that you've said is something that I think every one of us here around the table or at the table are coming into council to be part of a solution, a planned, concise plan solution. Things are not going to happen in 1 year. Things are not going to happen in 2 years. But to have it well planned, well discussed, the financial issues, every part of it needs to be well planned, well thought out, not just jumping to things because it needs to be done ASAP. There has to be thoughtful thinking, and we have to depend on our staff too. Their knowledge and the information that they're going to bring around the table when you sit down to discuss all these issues is going to be enlightening on times that you'll just wonder, I had never thought about that, and things will come up, and when you're talking with each one around the table, it'll make clear a step forward or a possible step forward or toward working towards a plan. So at the end of the day, it's working together, it's coming up with concise planning, and sticking to it and standing by it. I think that's the best we can ask of anyone here around the table. Thank you.
Number one.
Scott Martin for the fourth time tonight. I'm just going to say thank you. I want to thank all the staff for coming out tonight, the back, over here in the front. I also want to thank my in-laws for always letting me pick their brain when it comes to council, Ralph and Joanne Tapper. I also want to thank my parents, who were amazing. My dad for helping me put all the signs in the ground. My wife, who allowed me to do this, even though I told her how busy it's going to be. And my two kids, Charlie, who makes sure I'm dressed good tonight, which I am. And my son, who goes with me to every door, knocking on every door, wanting to come in and wanting to know if you got any chocolate. And that sums up who I am. Thank you for your time tonight. Have a good night. Thank you.
There it was. The original plan I had to speak to is gone from my head now, so I had to speak about something else. We've heard a lot here tonight, a lot of things. I think that for the majority of us, we do understand the issues. We do understand that water is an issue, wastewater is an issue, PFAS is now an issue, communication is a big issue, and we need to improve on all those things. I've always been a proponent of the longer term plan, because while we talk about the new and exciting and everything else, that has to be integrated into the old and declining, and how we set a plan to replace all those things as well, and how we actually deal with where we are financially, and where we are financially is pretty strapped really when you look at our debt load and things of that nature. But that's something we need to understand when we start going through the budget process. A lot of things, a lot of ideas we have here tonight, while not the responsibility of town, can be covered up through communication, and we need to push, and the Daltons and others push in terms of push Joanne for getting the feds moving faster, because they definitely need to move faster on the PFAS issue. And I know in my council meetings, I had a standing comment on what are we doing with the water, what are we doing with the water? And we do, we need to bring that a priority and sit on her desk, sit on the feds desk, get the problems on board, get another source of funding. And once we do that, we start expanding the better base and increase our tax base to be able to do a lot of these things that we would not otherwise be able to do. But it's great, and I want to say thank you to everybody else, thank you to my colleagues. I'm sick and tired of talking about myself in terms of the election. So I don't talk about myself anymore, and I'm no greater or no lesser than anybody else, but I sure hope that you will give me your vote. Thank you.
They remember their numbers from like 2.5 hours ago.
Just kept mine right in front of me.
And it's on your desk.
Again, my name is Dalton Tapper. Thank you very much to our hosts for having us here tonight. As the questions were going on, I didn't think I was going to get a chance to talk about PFAS, and that was what I was going to put into my little goodbye here. I'm much better at hellos than I am goodbyes, so I just want to thank all the residents who've taken the time to speak with me through emails, calls, and knocking on doors. I'm not done knocking on doors yet. The knuckles on this hand are starting to get a little sore, so I might just switch to this hand if I have to. And if there's anyone who would like to get in contact, I can't promise I'm going to knock on every door. I was optimistic that I might be able to, but that's just because I'm a rookie. So if anyone would like to request a visit, you can find me on Facebook, or you can go to the town's webpage. I think we have our contact information there. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Again, I'm Jennifer Whitten. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's supported me and given me a chance to let them know what it is I want to do. And my biggest thing on my platform, I think everybody knows, is seniors. The seniors built this place with their taxes, and a lot of them are still here, and I think they deserve the respect of being given every chance we can give them. I I do nails, and I can sit with anybody. I don't really get a chance. I don't really get a choice. Whoever I get, and I will sit and talk to anybody. So I would love for you to call and say, Jenny, come on over, I'm putting the kettle on. I'll sit down, talk with you, and talk about anything to do with council, and we'll go from there. But I just want to say thank you for giving me letting me have this opportunity, and I'm hoping that we will do great things. I just need the chance, and I will learn everything else. All the issues that we've talked about here tonight are not going away, but there are other things that we need to look at too. Anyway, thank you so much for tonight, and thank you for coming out.
Mary Thorngoss. I had notes and I had, I guess, looking at different things that I wanted to say to sum things up. But most importantly, I just want to thank everybody for coming out this evening and for the organizers. And I think that it's not that I think, I left a copy of my flyer with contact information. Unfortunately, I never got to get it out in mail on time. So if anybody would like to avail of that information and get a hold to me at any point in time, I'm going around knocking on as many doors as I can. I am confident that I have the leadership skills to be your next full-time mayor. You all heard here tonight about the issues that you're facing, how somebody that can work and have conflicting priorities. I'm there, I'm dedicated to the town, and as anybody knows, I am currently available to attend meetings whenever. And there was a lot of discussion, and I like what Dalton said about lobbying the federal government. We should not be putting 5 cents towards that contamination, and it's scary for me to think that we are looking at the town putting on reserve that $9 million without knowing that we will get it back from another funding source. So I know my time is ended. I respectfully ask that everybody here will consider me on election day on the 2nd. Thank you.
Next up is 4.
Thanks. All right, I'm Craig Scott, current mayor. I've been mayor for 8 years. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I try and be there for the residents. I don't often talk about the things that I have done. It's always about the things that we have done as a council. The fact that I met with Joanne Thompson many times before we got our money. The fact that I met with her many times before we got our money for our Housing Accelerator Fund. I'm in the process right now trying to get a meeting with her and Transport Canada to come forward with more money for the town. So do I make time to do this job? Absolutely. Every night I go to sleep now and I'm worried that Brian is going to call me in the morning and say, Mayor, I need you to declare a state of emergency because North Pond is stopped, there is no water. So that is what I'm working at. That's what I'm doing. And I think that I'm good at it. And I'm looking for your support for the next 4 years. I think that I can get these issues solved with working with a team. And I share credit for the things that we do, and when something goes wrong, I stand up and I take the blame. I don't throw our staff under the bus. I don't throw our members of my council under the bus. I am there to take that for them. And that's what it means to be a mayor in this town.
Craig, you took my thunder there that time, buddy. That's all I can say. Anyway, Sam, guys, once again, last time for tonight. Lots of issues. We've been out knocking on doors. We got a lot of issues out there, and my whole career has been dealing with issues on multitude of projects from one side of this country to the other. That's something I'm really good at. Dealing with people is another thing I'm good at. And we got, obviously, we got some major ones here in our community, and they certainly need to be addressed. I don't think our community should be growing much more until actually we identify these problems and figure it out. And we should hold the federal government's feet to the fire for the mess they caused. And we should work with our provincial governments as well. It's just another tool in our pouch that we should be working with all the time. Utilize all your assets, and we can make good things happen in this community. I think that's where we need to be with it. Like I said, I'll thank everybody for coming out tonight. Some of you guys I know, some of you guys don't know me. You'll get me on Facebook, obviously. I'm new to Facebook, so you'll excuse me. But reach out to me, get a hold of me, contact my information at the town, and I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. I'm a self-employed guy, so I can meet you, have a coffee, and have a chat, and see where your issues are, and let's get down and get things done. That's why I want to join or be part of the council. So hope to get your vote for that. Thank you very much.
Trina Appleby. Want to start with thanking the people of Torbay for putting your confidence in me 8 years ago to serve as your deputy mayor. I knocked on doors, I met with people, I asked for your vote. Since being given your vote, I have sat at the M&L table as the Avalon Director and Vice President. I've sat at the Federation of Municipalities table. I was invited by the President of FCM twice to chair a national standing committee. I can stand before you and tell you that I have had great achievements, and I have worked very hard with and for the people of Torbay. When I receive calls, I listen, and I follow those issues right through with the residents until we find resolutions. Some are quicker than others. One example, a gentleman called me and he said, "Hey Trina, we're having problems with inclusion. We're having problems with deaf people being able to participate in our community. Listen and participate." Even here tonight, I was working with staff trying to make sure that we're making this session accessible. There are costs for accessibility, but we need to make sure that we're building a community that is here for everyone. Torbay is a blend of the old and the new, and we need to make sure that all residents have access to clear, safe drinking water. We have to make sure that we are planning in a way that we have responsible fiscal planning, where we are developing our community in a way that works for everybody. Lots of us are from Torbay and grew up here. Lots of us chose Torbay and want to live here and be a part of the future. So I thank you for the confidence placed in me. Good luck to all the candidates, and that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Toomey, I'm running for council for the first time. I think we've heard what I see as my priority. We've heard it from everybody tonight, and it's water in all its forms. And that's where this coming council has to focus a lot of its attention. It's the thing that we need to be able to continue to develop. I think there are growth opportunities in this town, but without the water supply, we can't do that. There are other things we can do. We have some great recreation facilities here. We need to make sure that they're maintained. Recreation facilities includes trails, it includes this wonderful building, it includes our parks. We need to continue to support those. And that's something I don't think we've talked enough about tonight. We have a history house over there that we have an opportunity to develop because our history is important. And creating our history and telling people about it is important. It's an opportunity for tourism to continue and for people to learn about this great community we live in. I want to thank everybody for being here, all my fellow candidates, and all of you folks for coming, and the people who hopefully will see this on YouTube later on tonight. It's my first time running for council. I've been involved in lots of elections in the past, but this is the first time running. So I'm humbly asking for your support and give me a chance to see what we can do as a team to develop good things for Torbay over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Goss again. Most people, when they hear my name, either know it through the Rock Wildlife Rescue. And people wonder what that has to do with coming to this table to vie for a council seat to help represent you in this community. I took that, something, a service that was needed in this community, needed in this province, that people had tried before and were not successful. I collaborated with the federal government, with the provincial government, with Environment Canada, with our municipal government, to create something that was a much needed service, and we fought for that. And that charity now exists because of that and because of the volunteers that we brought together for that. And I think those skills speak to how hard I will work as part of this council. I think the plans that have been put forth tonight are amazing. I think the problems that we have in this town are huge for a small community right now. But there are solutions, but none of them can take place without getting updated information. Our last groundwater study was 2015, as mentioned here tonight. We can't do anything without new information, updated information. Once we have that information, then we can find those solutions and we can move forward. And I agree with everybody here tonight that Transport Canada and the federal government caused 100% of this problem. They should pay for 100% of this problem, and not a cent should be on any taxpayer's shoulders here, ever. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I hope they give me a chance to sit on this new council. Thank you.
Hey guys, Lori Furlong again, running for council. For myself, guys, I did place some placement cards because I haven't, unfortunately, like Dalton, been able to get to every single person in this community. So there's a long list of things that I have done. I'm not going to talk about myself in that capacity right now. That's not what I'm here for. What I am here for is to give you my commitment as a councillor, to be here to listen, to honestly, to move forward long-term on some planning, development and infrastructure, investments, together, that makes sense. Like Rhonda, things aren't going to happen maybe next year, but we can't have things phased out over year 1, year 2, year 3. That makes sense. It makes financial sense. On to the water issue, your concerns are my concerns. I currently have 6 baskets of laundry that I cannot wash, that I have ready to go. I have a family of 4 with 2 active kids. I actually had to wash today. My dog decided to eat a tub of paint on my couch cover that I cannot properly launder. I have it soaking in a little bit of water as I'm trying to desperately, in attempt to not go into our conservation area. So the water issue is real. I live on town water. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've spoken to residents as well, and the days of knocking on doors that have very little water pressure. I've heard everything from PFAS, that we can't use our water in our wells, to I have water, but it doesn't flow into my house. So at the end of the day, I'm here to listen to you, and I thank you for coming out tonight. I am really here to hopefully get your vote as a new voice on council, and promise my commitment.
Okay, we are a minute and a half over. But we did add in 13 extra questions, so this has been an honor. I really like Torbay, and as I was telling Kim, if I could afford to move, I probably would. So that's the end of the evening. There are still coffee and cookies and water. There'll be a short 10 or 15 minutes mingle with the candidates if you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you.